flipped my truck leaving work one night, and it was a brewery. Kind of woke up in a hospital, bleeding from my head. I considered myself a high functioning alcoholic.
There's a quote, you don't have to hit rock bottom to quit, you just have to decide you're worth more than alcohol gives you. From airplane bottles and perpetual hangovers to fatherhood, skateboarding, and a promotion at work, Adam Stewart is 8 months sober and providing how much life can change when you decide you're done. Today we dive into his journey. Thank you, Adam, for being here. Can you take us back to what a typical day looked like in your drinking life?
Sure. So, probably around 2020 to 2025, or like late 2024, I was typically drinking like 12 beers or more a day. Sometimes I'd pick up a few more on the ride home. Anytime I was at a gas station that had those little airplane bottles of whiskey or whatever, I was picking those up. I had pockets full, and I was just kind of sneaking them like other people sneak smoke breaks throughout the day, and just kind of maintaining this level of numbness to get me through the day or whatever, and often just passing out and just perpetually hungover and just continuing that process, needing another drink first thing in the morning just to kind of curb the hangover.
Yeah. What did that feel like physically and mentally, being perpetually hungover?
I don't think I realized how badly dehydrated I was constantly.
Mm.
I was like waking up in the middle of the night, drinking tons of water, but that was really all the water I was getting was in the middle of the night, suffering from, not getting enough rest and just kind of, yeah,
So then
burning the candle at both ends, as they say.
yeah. I mean, yeah, because 'cause you're not sleeping well and you're not, properly taking care of yourself. I can imagine it was probably kind of a miserable time.
Absolutely.
But when you're
Yeah.
in the moment, you probably are thinking, "Oh, this is fine. Got this. I don't have a
Yeah, it
problem."
definitely just felt like I was coasting and everything was under control. Uh, I guess I considered myself a high functioning alcoholic.
So were you hiding your drinking, or was it something people around you knew about, like how bad it was?
I was pretty open with it, with everybody that was like in my social circle, and like getting to know my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. I was pretty much, she saw that I was drinking daily, and I think she just didn't realize like how much it really was until we had been together for a while. And I had tried to slow down, and then I got in trouble for it with the DUI. And so through that process, that kind of created like definitely a start to the process to stop drinking. But it was really through just like hiding how much I was continuing to drink. She thought I had like gone weeks completely sober. Really, I
Mm.
was drinking like two or three a day.
So you got your DUI. What was that like?
It was pretty terrible. It was, I flipped my truck leaving work one night, and it was a brewery. So drinking on the job was, I guess, pretty normal for everybody in the service industry. And I think it was St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Mm.
So everybody was celebrating a little more than usual. And I just remember saying goodbye to the dishwashers, and I had no business getting in my vehicle, but nobody knew any wiser to like stop me or take my keys, because I had friends there that would have looked out for me, but I just don't think they realized how intoxicated I was. I flipped my truck and kind of woke up in a hospital, bleeding from my head. So that was all a terrible experience, of course. And then dealing with the DUI, that actually happened during 2020.
Mm.
So it was pandemic time, and the places I was trying to get my courses taken care of or my community service taken care of, their doors were closed and their offices were locked down, and so it just ended up being an extra hectic time.
Which then probably made you want to drink more.
Yeah, being stuck at home and limited to, being able to go to work and stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. How long were you without a license?
I think just 6 months. and then I was able to reapply.
Yeah. So during that time, your girlfriend at the time, probably now wife, probably thought you had cut back or quit and you were just still that's when you started hiding it more?
Yeah, and it did begin the process of quitting, but yeah, I was I mean, I've people say fake it till you make it, but it was embarrassing like how much I had to like lie about it before I actually committed to stopping.
So you were drinking beer and the airplane bottles?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like daily?
Yeah.
Even after your DUI?
Yeah. And I mean, there was definitely like a period of like slowing down through that DUI, like,
Mhm.
and going to the classes. I was definitely taking like the risk reduction classes seriously, not just trying to. There was a thought process there, like, what if I did quit drinking? And like the classes will tell you, like, oh, you're in a zone, like you're in the yellow zone or the red zone or the green zone, and you need to get out of that. So I think my focus was, how do I get back to a place where I can like just have a few,
Mhm.
and you know like like so many have failed before.
Yeah.
You can't just stop at just two or three.
Yeah, I was just on a group call last night with my members, and we were talking about that, like, how some people can just drink 2 to 3 and be done, but then there's those of us that like us, that we can't just have 2 or 3, it's all or nothing.
I mean, for me, it took just building new routines, and I know for a lot of people, it's like closing off certain social circles.
Mhm.
And I feel like I didn't close those people completely out of my life, but I don't hang out with them one on one. Our relationships are kind of reduced to text messages, at least for now.
I think that happens.
So yeah.
And you have to protect your sobriety in the beginning. A lot of people ask, like, they think that it's gonna get boring and they're gonna lose everybody, and I it's just a season. You have to protect yourself. Recent people that I'm coaching, it's football season, right? And a lot of them are in the beginning of their sobriety, just maybe some are a few weeks to a few months. So going into football season is a whole new ball game for them, literally.
Absolutely.
And so they're learning to navigate, well, actually, I don't enjoy this as much as I used to. That friend just she's just wasted or he's just wasted. They're just there for the beer and the alcohol and they just don't fit in anymore. That's kind of how they're feeling.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be tough because you're passionate about something that's heavily associated with that relationship with alcohol and
Yeah.
enjoying it while doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's is that kind of how you felt when er, during this season when you're quitting drinking, you're just it's like you're pushing people not away, but you're just having a safe distance.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way. Because I'm still spending time with like my family and my brother, and I it took me a few months to get to the point where I could just hang out with them socially or play a game of cards or a game of pool, and not be so self-conscious about not having alcohol in my system.
What a
So
twisted
it's
what a twisted world we live in. We have to we have to feel uncomfortable because we're the ones not drinking,
mm, well, I mean, it's put everywhere in
right?
front of us in bright neon signs.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Was there something in your life that brought you to consuming alcohol the way you were?
hmm, um, I'm a little bit of a loner. I do enjoy time by myself, and I used to be a lot more creative. So I think for a long period of my life, I just thought that alcohol was the muse, or it was the thing that was providing like some sort of flow state when I'm either creating music or art or even at work sometimes. I'd learned the job drunk, so I continued to perform it with ease, you know, slightly intoxicated. And I can't remember like what that rule or what that association is, but like it's hard to like learn how to do it sober if you learned it drunk or, you know.
Yeah. I think that's kind of vice versa too.
Hmm.
Definitely. Did you have was alcohol prominent in your life growing up?
Not like a whole lot. Like I didn't personally really start drinking heavily until I was in my mid 20s. I didn't really care for it, and there were people in my life that drank, but I wouldn't say it was prominent. And I didn't have like the typical, like, I guess, college life induction that most people would have. I was kind of like going to tech school and working my job and just really didn't care much for it. But I think it's, I was dealing with depression and just kind of like the loss of things that I loved, like my band. What I wasn't a part of my band anymore, and I was living alone for the first time. And I think, yeah, it just became like a way to self medicate.
So you masked your depression with a depressant, like most of us do.
Yeah, how stupid is that?
When we say it out loud, it sounds a lot more stupid than when you're in it. It makes total sense.
Absolutely.
You shared with me that having your firstborn changed everything. Can you tell us about that moment when you knew you couldn't keep living the same way?
Yeah, she really drove everything home. We spent a little over 100 days in the NICU, 4 major holidays, eating hospital food, and going up there day in and day out. And I was still drinking while she was in the hospital. I would go up there during our touch times, and sometimes have an airplane bottle on the way there just to deal with that social anxiety of being at a hospital. And I felt terrible about it, holding her for the first time in the NICU with, whiskey on my breath. And my wife didn't know. And I don't think it was until I had a conversation with my father, and he basically said, like, you're not going to keep drinking like this when she comes home, right? And it, it made me angry at first because it was like, I was trying to keep myself in check. Like, well, I have been doing better and I have been reeling it in and I have been slowing down. But I think those are just kind of lies that we tell ourselves
Mhm.
so that we can continue to drink as much as we have been. Um, but when she came home, like January 2nd, she officially came home from the hospital. And fortunately, I haven't had a sip of alcohol since. And, the first week was definitely like, I was like gung ho about it. I was enthusiastic. She was home. I had that distraction that was like fresh and
Mhm.
present in the home. But then, like, day 14, day 16, day 20, it started getting more and more tough, and almost like a thought of like, is this worth it? Or am I going to be able to commit to this?
What was the day like before? So what was January 1st like?
I had already like had it locked in, like, okay, like no more drinking. But then I ended up just having a drink because it was New Year's.
I
So
mean,
I didn't like go crazy, but it was kind of like one last goodbye.
one last goodbye.
Yeah.
So
The official.
you had a quit date, and I just talked to somebody about a quit date. I okay, this is gonna I don't know. People are gonna take this how they want, but I feel if we have a quit date, and I didn't realize this until she said it out loud to me. My quit date was July 10th. I knew like leading up to July 10th, I wasn't going to be able to drink for 75 days, which then turned into like I decided to quit drinking halfway through that 75 days. But leading up to there, I had time to prepare myself. So I'm quitting. I have to, new path of life on this date. Just her story was with smoking, though. She had a quit date versus and that quit date is now, now she's been smoke free since that quit date when it was just supposed to be, probably a short amount of time. I don't know. But all these people that do these 30-day challenges, I think having that quit date is more powerful than just throwing yourself into these 30-day challenges constantly. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure, I think that there's some power of intention
Mhm.
going on there, and I guess giving yourself like an extra 48 or 72 hours or however long you need to mentally prepare, or even have that final binge
Yeah,
if you need it. Yeah, I think just that power of intention, there's something to that. That's cool.
yeah. Because she said that, but then somebody else that I talked to said that every time she would do these 30-day challenges, she would just make up for that 30 days after that 30 days. So that's why you have those two types, the intentionality of it versus just the on the whim, I'm going to do this for 30 days and then I'm just going to go back to my same old habits. But so January 2nd came and you had all that time leading up to that. So did fatherhood bring up fears about becoming the kind of parent you didn't want to be?
You could say that. I mean, it kept me in check, and I started experiencing what her life was going to be, and I just want like getting to know her, and like the more her personality came out, the more I was like, yeah, I really don't want her to like see me stumble or hear me slur.
Yeah.
I don't want her to like be like, "Dad, why is Daddy drunk?"
There's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, she freed me.
I love that. I can't wait, when she's 16 years old and you can explain to her or older, you know, the day that you brought her home from the hospital because being a NICU parent is no easy job. Been there only 16 days compared to your 100 days is I couldn't even imagine. I mean, especially your firstborn. It was my
Yeah,
firstborn
well,
too.
I was an absolute trooper going up there, spending hours every day.
It's a full-time job. You leave at a certain time, and then you come home in the evening, have dinner, go to bed, and you're right back at it. It's a job. I think last time we talked about withdrawals. I know a lot of people like to know if you had withdrawals. So January 2nd, you brought her home, and that was your quit date. What were your withdrawals like?
I don't remember like experiencing like a whole lot of like body symptoms. Um, my mentality was, I guess, in the right place every day, especially like the first week. Because again, I said I was very preoccupied with like the newborn baby at home. It's, I know I had mentioned when we talked before that like the second and third week is when it started to get tougher. But I mean, specifically with the withdrawals, I don't remember feeling like sick, maybe just like tired and like, kind of a roaring headache for the first few days. Because that was definitely something like if I ever had like a really bad headache, I'd be reaching for a drink
Oh,
to cure that. So just kind of pushing through that.
yeah. What was the hardest part about making the decision, and what was the easiest part?
The hardest part about making the decision, I guess it you feel like you're really admitting something about yourself, like
Mm.
you know, like you're really admitting that you can't just handle one or two, and maybe you feel like envious of others who can just like drink socially, or you know have never like been hurt by it. It's just kind of always just been what it should be, a relaxing beverage. I think yeah, just knowing that like yeah, it's over, it's done. People compare alcohol to a romantic relationship, so it feels like a breakup, almost.
It does.
Or that grief is there that you have to get over.
That's a good way to put it. You're breaking up with a toxic per substance. but
Yeah,
it's like breaking up with a
it's
toxic
something
girlfriend or
that's
boyfriend.
yeah, and it's something that's like really good at convincing you that you need it.
Yeah. And then you have all your friends. Are you sure this is the right decision?
hmm
I mean, or just questioning you, why are you quitting drinking? Or uh, it kind of goes hand in hand with, when you're breaking up with that toxic person, and then your other friends are like, well, you guys were fine together.
Sure. Yeah.
No, we were not. Behind closed doors is a whole nother ball game.
You didn't see the whole relationship.
What was the easiest part?
The easiest part, I guess, just easiest part. I did feel validated by others, and so I guess the easiest part was just feeling good about it,
Yeah.
that it had finally come true and I wasn't lying about it or telling half truths about it. It feels good now to tell people that I quit drinking.
Yeah. There's a quote, you don't have to hit rock bottom to quit. You just have to decide you're worth more than alcohol gives you.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah. Alcohol does not serve any part of our life.
Even when even when we think it's going to give us like a easy escape, I mean, you kind of end up miserable, kind of wondering like, what if I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lies to you. It lies to you.
Yeah. So your rock bottom kind of was waking up in the hospital with blood on your head, wrecking your truck.
Yeah, you could say that, and just the total embarrassment of having to go through the community service, and I there's nothing about having a DUI that's always going to be on my record,
Yeah.
and it's just yeah, it's just embarrassing, really.
But that was, quote, your rock bottom, maybe, but yet it didn't stop you from drinking. And I feel so many people have the same experience.
Yeah, it I guess it created a call to action that it took me like longer to respond to than it should have, because I think that where I was before the accident and where I was kind of in the last 4 years was definitely like I didn't have the space. Like I had started to shut off the opportunities, like I couldn't bring a 12 pack home anymore without getting called out for it. So I had started to kind of create better systems, but they still weren't working. Like it was too like uh, patching a dam that was screaming holes everywhere. Couldn't keep up with the lies and the hiding places and the stashes.
What was the most unique hiding place?
Oh, my grandmother's china cabinet. I guess just deep back in the drawers behind some other things.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find a place to hide anything, right? Just
Sure.
so those first 30 days can feel like climbing a ginormous mountain. What were the biggest challenges in the beginning?
Well, fortunately, I had set myself a little goal to get back on the skateboard every day for January. And that was specifically like a 30-day goal that I didn't really know what was going to happen at the end of that goal. But that was kind of like the task that I had given myself for the first month was like, I'm going to make some skateboard content and, post it and like try to get back to it because I hadn't skated in like 13 years.
Huh.
And I was just trying to like see if I could do it again, and turned out I really enjoy it, and it's been like probably the most beneficial tool to like continuing my sobriety is just like it's it's filled that headspace and it's filled that time that drinking used to take up.
Hmm.
um it's because I guess drinking is kind of a hobby
Oh, yeah.
depending on how much you're doing it.
I mean, well, you mentioned that, but so many of us just people would ask, "What's your hobby?" And I would drinking wine on my back patio. I don't know, taking shots. That is that my hobby? I don't know because I didn't know anything else besides drinking.
Yeah.
So you got back into skateboarding after 13 years, and I really want to emphasize how important that is keeping yourself busy and creative, especially in those first 30 days. Do you think you could have, I mean, obviously your daughter had, a huge impact, but do you think skateboarding was definitely it is a huge part of your success in the last 8 months?
Yeah, and especially like in the beginning, it was like it started off as like something I had to go do, and my wife understood it. She was very supportive. I was like, "Hey, I just got to go like hit the ramp in the garage," like feeling triggered, feeling upset about it, like feeling like I need to go to the liquor store like right now. And so I would just go hit the ramp and skate back and forth and kind of let my blood pump a little bit and get a little exercise, and then just that natural dopamine would kind of cool me off.
So what I'm hearing is, and I hope a lot of people can take this and use it in their early sobriety also, you used those urges and triggers to it, you used you ran out to the garage and just, cooled yourself
I
down
would
with
just
the skateboard.
Yeah, I just have a ramp set up where I can just pump back and forth. So it was very much like a treadmill, just like an instant release. Like I need to go for a jog or I need to go for a walk.
Yeah. So you paused, realized what was happening, and threw yourself into a new hobby.
Yeah.
And
Well, really, really reignited a passion for an old hobby.
yeah. Yeah, and that's super cool. I hear a lot of stories about that. People will tell me that they quit drinking because of my channel, or they watched this video and they quit drinking and they got back into photography, or they've 10x their business and they got back into other passions. And so it's really nice to realize that once you set down your fake hobby, you can actually have a life again with your real hobby.
Absolutely. Yeah, I I've been really pleasantly surprised with like I just feel better about my creative process now
Mm.
than before. I was always kind of slowing myself down trying to like drink and also like work on editing videos or um I was trying to learn how to make video games for a while, but that was basically just like a year long stint of me drinking and trying to learn how to program and code, and that I just feel like that's a huge waste of my time. I didn't accomplish anything because I just wasn't focused and I wasn't in it. I was Yeah,
But now you can take this, new mindset and put it to use with your creativity.
yeah, absolutely.
Did you notice shifts in your mind and body that surprised you?
Probably around like the 4 to 5 month period, I just felt like my body was stronger.
Mm.
I just felt like I could breathe better. I definitely felt like I was getting better rest. And that's when I would say I started feeling like the benefits in a very impactful way.
So you're saying it around that 4 to 5 months is when you really started feeling the benefits? Because I think a lot of people ask that question, when did you start feeling the benefits, or when did you notice, physical changes, or, emotional, mental, all of the questions. So you're saying around that 4 to 5 month.
Yeah, around the 4 to 5 month, I felt like I had given my brain and my body time to heal from just how much alcohol was probably still trying to get out of my system. And yeah, I just felt like more awake and just like better rested and just more focused, and um it improved my relationship with like the people that I work with, because I mean we work at a I work at a pretty busy restaurant, so like being on point is definitely something they want you to be there. And so yeah, and you mentioned earlier that I got a promotion at work. Um, you know, I just became the kitchen lead, and it just when I started the job, like I had already kind of like stopped drinking as much because I started the job right before she had come home from the hospital. It was a job that I had worked in the past, so I would say like back in like 2018 when I worked there, I was definitely like known as just kind of like a shithead drunk that would come in hungover or come in late and hungover, and definitely known as like sloppy. So it's nice to have like a different, you know, presentation at work, and people actually like they accepted me and they gave me that opportunity to clean it up. You know.
It's it's as if they took you more serious.
Yeah.
I had the same issue back in the day. I don't think anyone took me seriously in my jobs because I was just so focused on drinking.
Yeah. And I think I was like a good enough employee to keep around, but like I cleaned it up, and so
Good for you.
definitely feel professional at work.
Yeah. You built Skate Sober on YouTube. What does skateboarding give you that alcohol never did?
It definitely gives me like a clean source of dopamine. It I mean it Getting back on the board was like exhilarating the first time. I was surprised that I could do it at 37. I was surprised that it came back the way it did. So I mean, it really just yeah, it gave me a sense of balance, and it gave me just a sense of confidence. You know, it totally just was the flip of everything that I thought I was getting from alcohol.
That
It totally flip side.
that's what I was gonna ask you next. Did you find a new kind of confidence or flow state in skating after quitting?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, because I mean, like I said, initially it was like, okay, I have to go skate, and then it became something that I could just it became part of my day, you know. Like I would go out and skate for like maybe 10 to 20 minutes, and I was doing it in the evenings because it was such a hot summer. So just right there, right when before the sun goes down. So you could call it my nightcap. You know, that
Oh,
was the last thing I was gonna do before I kind of took a shower and head off to bed. So it was very much just like a um, complete replacement of like the amount of time that I was spending and the amount of energy that I was spending. It's just going into like a better place that's more productive for me, and you know, puts me in a better headspace.
mhm. Yeah. A lot of people think that their life is going to be boring when they quit drinking and they ask, well, what do you do now that you don't drink? There's not enough time in the day now because I'm so productive. There's no part about being sober that's boring. I've talked to so many people that I coach and on podcasts. There's not enough time now because we're not just sitting around wasting our day drinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, I mean, like you know, threw yourself into skateboarding and now that's your nightcap. That is absolutely amazing. And for some people, it's going out on a hike or a run or an evening walk or, going to the gym or whatever. But it's just, it's sad when people think that there's not a life without alcohol.
Yeah, and it's easy to think that way, you know. And for example, like if I went to a music concert,
Hmm.
that would be an environment where I'd probably miss it more. So I think it's just about knowing that about yourself, you know, like even maybe going to like the movies, since like movie theaters offer drinks these days. There's going to be places where you're going to have like a harder time. So maybe avoid those places at first until you can trust yourself, or just have that accountability with you, you know.
Yeah. So you haven't been to a concert yet?
No, not since I've stopped drinking. I haven't been to a music concert, which is something I, you know, used to enjoy regularly. So that's definitely something that I'll have to just be mentally prepared for. But I think I can handle it at this point.
Yeah, my first concert, I used to go with just the girls all the time, and then my first sober concert was with my husband, and I actually now go with him. I've gone to a couple with like girls' night, but I just have to have a club soda in my hand, pretzel, popcorn, something, because everybody else around me is getting wasted. I think the hardest thing that I did in the beginning was going to a hockey game. That was probably the most uncomfortable, awkward, "I'm ready to leave. Let's go." We left and we have a cookie dough place here. that serves ice cream also, but I was just, "I'm done. Let's go get cookie dough." I
Yeah.
was so overstimulated. It was not my scene. People were getting so rowdy. Concerts are a little different because you're focused on the music, I think, and then you get to, I mean, obviously, that probably doesn't make any sense, but, you're active, you're moving, you're singing, you're, engaged, fully engaged at a concert versus at a hockey
Yeah.
game. You're engaged,
Yeah.
but it's just different. To me, that's my take on it, but I
No, I
they didn't
agree.
have anything there for me to drink. I wanted coffee. I needed something in my hand, and I was too high up in the seats. I just couldn't. It was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that would be tough. I mean, there's definitely a handful of situations like that that I just need to avoid for now.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people put themselves in tricky situations too early, and then it makes them start drinking again because they were so uncomfortable or pressured. And I said no to a lot of things in the beginning of quitting drinking.
Yeah, I went to a wedding just a couple months ago, and that was tough, because we were in New York, and I was mostly sitting with people that I didn't know. I had just met. They're all drinking, and so it was harder to break the ice than usual. The bartender he was very supportive because he gave me a little whatever soda and lime so I could feel like I was part of the party and nobody had to know otherwise.
Speaking of, so just for those that aren't aware, and because I was not aware, at the concerts, the bar trucks do serve mocktails. The bartender said, "Oh, we serve a lot of mocktails." So I got a club soda and lime, and I felt like I fit right in. Not that it like matters, but there's just something to it having,
Yeah,
a similar drink that everybody else is because I mean, I don't know, just something comforting about it.
yeah, and if that's what you need to get through the night, I mean, more power to you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
especially in the beginning. Definitely in the beginning. So at the wedding, did they ask you why you weren't drinking?
um, I don't think anybody asked like particularly like why I had quit or anything,
They didn't give you any
but
like weird question like looks.
no, no, everybody was pretty nice or more into whatever they were doing.
Yeah. So how has creating content helped you stay accountable and connect with others? I mean, you have, your YouTube page. Do you get people commenting, "I'm sober too," or, that you've inspired people?
I do, and at first, I just thought, what am I doing? Nobody cares about this old guy skateboarding. But once I started weaving kind of my story into the YouTube shorts at the time, I started to be a little bit more vocal about celebrating like month one and month two and just letting people know that it was associated with this goal of like staying sober. And more people started to respond with, this is awesome. Like, I love skateboarding and sobriety, so I support this or whatever. And I was just really, really, really inspired and motivated to stay true to what I was doing after like reading like floods of just really, really kind comments. And yeah, I felt selfish because realizing that far into it that it wasn't just for me. Like I was, you know, the possibility of like helping others like just really blessed my heart and just cracked it open like on a whole new level.
You know, I mean, when I put my first video out there, I was terrified. I was like, this is not my channel's content, but we were doing 75 hard. We just put up the camera in the kitchen and he's like, just talk. And I just talked, and the floods of comments that came in were, I mean, I have chills just thinking about it. And that's when I knew I was like, I found my niche and I'm done drinking. I never want to go back. And amongst those comments were how bad alcohol was. And at the time, I had no idea. No idea. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, you know that it's bad, it hurts your liver, right? But you don't know, I was so oblivious to all the other things that it did to us.
yeah, and I that's probably something like research that I could further do that would motivate me even further.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize the toll that it has on their bodies or don't even think about it. Like, oh, I'll just drink some water.
Yeah. Well, One comment that really stood out to me, and this is in the very beginning, and this is one that I can remember. Somebody commented, "It belongs on a hardware shelf or a shelf in the hardware store." And I was just appalled. I was like, "This is disgusting. What was I actually drinking?" And
Yeah,
then I went down the rabbit hole and everybody would comment, "You're drinking or it's ethanol, it's this, it's that, it's formaldehyde, it's asbestos," and I just was blown away. I had no idea. But
yeah, that's wild to think about. And I know like the Fireball shots that I was drinking. Oh, that cinnamon candy. There's definitely something in like the US version that is just banned in like the UK version and in other countries. It's, it's terrible. Yeah, it's lighter fluid.
it's I mean, yeah, you can literally use it as lighter fluid. Has there been any comments that particularly have stood out to you?
um, there was one particular. I don't know if they subbed or not, but they had said basically like they couldn't imagine them getting to the point that I had gotten to,
Go.
which I can relate to, like not believing that I'll ever be, happy enough with myself to like keep pushing. And I feel for that person. Like I go back to that comment sometimes, and I don't know if they're still watching. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I just hope that they can like find it because it seemed like it's something they wanted,
Mm.
but they kind of just mentioned how like yeah I don't that seems nice and all, but I don't think I can do that. So, and my goal with the channel is I don't know what my goal with the channel is. My goal was never to like tell people like I'm not trying to like get people to jump on this train, but if they're inspired by like how it's impacted my life, that's really awesome. you know, um, so I'm still learning how to like articulate that. Like if people need help or advice, I'm still learning how to like suggest and answer. So that's part of my journey too. I think, especially so early in, now I'll have better answers, once I get further into my sobriety. But
Oh, for definitely. When I first started my channel, it was workout videos. Now those are unlisted. And I just dove into the education of alcohol, and now it's a podcast. But it just, I had no idea there was a sober curious trend. I was so oblivious to anybody quitting drinking. Um,
mm,
I I started my journey, like you did from the beginning of our journey. Well, I mean, I was about 50 days in when I did my first video. So I've been doing this since the beginning. So then I go back. I mean, I don't go back, I don't watch my videos. That sounds weird, but I don't like watching myself. But, you know, people had watched me transform that have stayed with me from the beginning. And I think those that come to your channel or my channel and they want to contact us or stay, we don't have a way to get a hold of people on YouTube. I mean, we can't DM people. They have to email us. So that's eh, I think for those that need more inspiration or help, they have to comment their email or email us.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, like reaching out in that way.
I have a lot of people like that too. They comment for so long and then they disappear and then they'll show up, several months later and still struggling. But I mean, it's hard. You question where are these people and wonder if they're still watching. But, if they really want some help, they can always reach out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, being here, I like how you say you don't know where your channel's going. I think that's a huge. I didn't know where my channel was going. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was helping people, and the comments fueled me to stay sober. This is my accountability. This is my, my virtual, like, I don't know, sobriety group, I guess. Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, I didn't go to AA. Did you go to AA?
I went to like a couple and it just didn't feel right for me. I think I'm sure that like there's maybe like the proper age group or the right group that
Mhm.
would it made me feel more welcome. But the particular times that I went, I just kind of like outright was like, I like this isn't helpful. Like this seems like more work, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think I'd rather just find, my own way than to like get to know these strangers that anyway, it was a lot of coffee and cigarettes and it just wasn't the right environment for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's okay. And I think those that judge us for not going, or I mean, it's not, we're not talking down about it. It's just we found our own way. And I think everybody has to
Yeah.
find their own way. You found yours in s- skate sober and your daughter. And I honestly, I can't give my channel enough credit for my sobriety, because without my channel, I have no idea where I'd be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does create like an awesome accountability system. And yeah, you got your check-in partners. For me, just tapping back into what skate culture is like, it's it's been fantastic. It's amazing because there are a lot of people who I guess kind of grew up with it in the '90s who are maybe coming back to it because they have kids now that want to learn how to skate, or like the Tony Hawk games have been remastered once more, so it comes back. It's in the Olympics now, so in a way, it's like it's not like a super popular thing, but it's also kind of like more popular than it's ever been. I don't know. It's always kind of been, I guess you would call it a misfit
Yeah.
thing. It draws to the punk rockers and you know the castaways.
The castaways.
I think like a lot of people that skate are kind of, you could say, broken people is maybe the term I'd use. We're all hurting from something, and skating helps us. Seems to be how it is with skaters.
Yeah, but you turned yours into a sober journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
If your daughter asked you one day, Dad, why don't you drink? How would you want to answer that?
Hmm. How would I want to answer that? I I would probably tell her that it takes up too much time and money.
It's a good one.
To just answer it simply, I guess it also depends on what age she was when asking, but simply put, it takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy, and too much money.
Yeah. What is so your wife, how is your relationship with her now? She's super supportive of you just going out and skating. I know a lot of people struggle with their spouse not quitting drinking and not being helpful to them, but it sounds like she's been pretty helpful in your journey.
Yeah, she's been incredible. She allows me the time that I need to go out and record sometimes, and she's understanding of that. And we we trade shifts with the baby, and we're both just growing together in parenthood.
Yeah.
She asked me if, when we were at the wedding in New York, she was like, "Is it gonna bother you if I have a drink?" And that was very like awesome and considerate of her, and I was very proud to be able to be like, "No, like it's not gonna bother me, and if anything, I owe you the DD tonight." Because she had always been there DDing for me, and
That's so does she not drink very often?
she doesn't drink very often, you know, but it was sweet of her to ask, like, "Is it gonna bother you if I drink?" I said, "No." And,
Yeah.
I think you
That's
can go ahead and
I love
do that.
I love that she has that respect. I don't think a lot of spouses have that respect. They just don't give a flying F. Like, I'm gonna drink, I don't care.
Sure. No, it was very considerate of her to make sure that I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I love that. So if you could sit down with yourself from a year ago, what would you tell him?
I I would probably try and show them a video of me doing a 50-50 grind on a 4-foot quarter pipe. And I would tell them, if you want to be able to do that a year from now, stop drinking. No, what would I tell myself? I would tell myself, you've been telling yourself long enough that you want to quit. there's been something roaring inside of you, knowing this is a problem for long enough. So just stop making excuses.
Stop making excuses.
Yeah.
So what would you tell those that are, just on the struggle bus of quitting drinking and they're on and off and they just can't seem to that light switch has not gone off yet and they're just searching for help.
I think give yourself the chance to experience, like you might be telling yourself, like, I don't know what a week of sobriety looks like. That sounds awful. But like just give yourself like maybe a manageable goal, like 10 days, and you you're not gonna like it's not gonna like change your life, but just knowing that you can make it 10 days without a drink is very empowering. And I think that's a good place to start. Give yourself a goal that you can manage so that you can believe in yourself. Because quitting cold turkey, that's monumental. It's hard
Mhm.
for anybody just to walk into that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I never really considered myself like cold turkey quitting. And I mean, same, I mean, you obviously, you too, just,
Didn't you say you kind of like had like a 75-day goal and then you ended up surpassing that?
yeah. So halfway through that 75 days, so I went, I drank probably, I started the morning off with mimosas and then I drank a bottle of watermelon vodka and probably wine also. Like, so I
Yeah.
was definitely mixing. I woke up with the worst hangover on July 10th to start 75 hard. Great way to start 75 hard. I mean,
Oh man.
so yeah. And then it was probably 3-ish weeks into it. I just realized that there was no place for alcohol in my life anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess like give yourself a chance to realize that you can make it 10 days. You can make it 14 days. And you might surprise yourself and you might find the motivation to continue from there.
And like you said, the first week you're all gung ho about it, and then that second and third week are pretty hard.
Yeah, it's tough. It's draining. So you're going to need a hobby. You're going to need a something to expel that energy and fill that time, you know.
I would love to hear how many people actually whip out their skateboards that are in our generation and start skating after this video.
Hey, who knows? I mean, if you've never tried it, there's something about it. It's just from the moment you step on it for the first time, you like even Tony Hawk will tell you like you can't master it. It's always going to kind of give you the next task. It's a very natural thing like the I guess the progression of skating, you know. It's always going to give you like something else to work on and a new way to like focus your balance.
Sounds like sobriety.
How about that?
Like you just explained sobriety.
They're very similar in that way, I
Yeah,
guess.
I love that. Where do you see yourself in the
Um,
next 4
well,
months?
hopefully I'm going to be building a mini ramp. I'm going to try to be building like a 2.5 foot mini ramp, and that'll be featured on a lot of uh, the the content for the channel, of course. So yeah, my daughter will be a year and a half old. She'll probably be running around the house, so I'll be somewhere trying to keep up with her. But yeah, I see myself still sober in
Yeah.
4 months from now.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. I'm pushing.
I love that. So you also have an Etsy
Yeah,
store because you
yeah.
sell
I've
shirts
made a
and
few things
stickers.
associated with Skate Sober, and just some art there. I believe it's skatesober.etsy.com.
Honestly, I know a lot of people that still use Etsy, so that's amazing. And then they can find you at Skate Sober. I really appreciate you sharing your story. And for those that, want to follow you, they can go watch your journey at Skate Sober. And I'm so excited to see how far you come, especially, it's I haven't interviewed somebody that's into skating yet. I mean, I think it's just absolutely amazing because you're relearning how to, do all
Yeah,
the things
it's the perfect
skateboarding
distraction,
also while
and
relearning
like I said, the
yourself.
perfect dopamine. But thank you so much for having me on. Like I'm really inspired by your channel. I love that you just give us these raw, true stories because they are, they are impactful. And even, that even though I've been sober for like 8 months, I was still finding strength through listening to your stories at the time. So it's there to help.
I love when my subscribers reach out and share their story. I think that there's so much more power in people that have been watching and are inspired to share their own journey because it just helps somebody. I mean, I've not had a skate like I said, I have not had a skateboarder on, so maybe you are going to touch a whole other, you know, set of
That's
people
awesome.
that I don't relate with. Yeah, I love that. I mean, not that I don't relate with, but, I mean, they just watch me probably for other people's stories, but now I have somebody that's relatable to them.
Thanks for making me do it.